Welcome to today's guided practice session. Today is a very special day because today we are tackling one of my very favorite tunes from one of my very favorite albums from one of my very favorite artists of all time. That's You Are the Sunshine of My Life from Talking Book by the great, the one and only Stevie Wonder. And I want to get real specific here on You Are the Sunshine of My Life. We're not going to practice just the general song. We're not even really going to deal with the tune. I want to practice one thing that Stevie does here in the verse with the chords that I think is so cool and such a specific, deliberate choice that completely changes the vibe of the tune. In fact, it's probably one of the things that when you think of this tune in your mind, when you hear it, it's one of the first things that come to your ear because it's so specific. These things are Stevie Wonder's clean slash chords. Now, these slash chords that Stevie used in the verse are so clean and pristine and set this beautiful harmonic melodic movement for you against the melody that you are really hooked in from the beginning. It's quite possibly one of the most interesting and fantastic choices of a major pop hit that I can think of are these super clean slash chords from Stevie Wonder. And only a genius, I think, on Stevie Wonder's caliber would have put this in like a #1 hit pop tune. It's just that he's just has one of those just kind of crazy, brilliant minds that does stuff like this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a very specific session on this. We're going to go deep and we're going to practice it in a couple of keys. But here's the order of how we'll work on things. First up, we're going to listen. We'll listen to that first verse. We're not even going to hear Stevie sing because he has his two background singers singing the melody at first. But what we're going to do is listen carefully to what's going on here in the slash chords in the verse of You Are the Sunshine of My Life. Then we're going to break it down after that. We're going to go into what makes these slash chords great. And then we're going to actually consider, well, what could Stevie have done that wouldn't have been so unique? We'll go over like kind of this typical trope of what you would normally do on a tune like this or changes like this. And that'll sort of reverse engineer why Stevie's choices here were so cool. Then we're going to practice this. We're going to practice this in 3 keys: the original key of B major, the key of C major, and the key of D flat major. 3 amazing keys on the piano. Then we're going to explore this. We're going to take this technique of a bass note in our left hand and slash chords in our right hand, and we're going to go through a whole other tune. We're going to go through Have You Met Miss Jones, a Great American Songbook standard. But when you apply this slash chord technique, you get this like cutting glass angular sound on Have You Met Miss Jones that I think you're really, really going to love. So that's what we're going to do today. By the way, I have a 4-page PDF of everything that we're going to go over. You can get it here in the chat, in the description. We have a link for it free to you today for our YouTube folks. You can check that out. You could follow along here as we practice. So make sure to go pick up that 4-page PDF where we kind of break down everything in notation, if that's your bag. If you'd rather do it by ear, that's cool too. And before we get going, just a reminder that this guided practice session, like every guided practice session, is brought to you by OpenStudioJazz.com. We go on deep dives of all this stuff all the time. In fact, every day over there on OpenStudioJazz.com. We have live events. We have recorded courses by such greats as Peter Martin, Jeffrey Keyser, Elio Alves, Gregory Hutchinson, Chris McBride. The list goes on. And we're adding people all the time. So come over to OpenStudioJazz.com and see what's going on over there for yourself. I'm so excited. I want to see the title one more time. I want to see this killing little GIF here by my man. Look at that. Whew. Stevie Wonder's clean slash chords. Let's get to it. So first things first, let's listen. Faked you out. I'm so sorry about that. I know everybody wants to hear that moment where Stevie comes in. It's one of the great moments in music history, and I've robbed you of it. My apologies. But I do want you to actually listen to this track on your own and check this out. All we need from this, though, is this first part here. So what we have here, we'll break this down in a little bit, but as you can see, he starts with just a B major 9 voicing here, and then he does these series of triads over a bass line. And some of these are just like a minor 7 chord. Some of these are slash chords, legitimate slash chords. You think they might be something else, and we'll go over that too, but it's just a series of these triads, usually in this second inversion, moving down and around, and it creates a really incredible effect. The first time through, Stevie does it on the Rhodes, and then he adds those background voices to it just to reinforce it. That's actually just a nice little production tip, a bit of layering, a bit of orchestration on this. That tells me, as a musician and as a listener, that Stevie, by doubling this in the Rhodes and the voices, he really wants our ears to go to that. And doesn't it though? When those harmonies, think about this top note here. When that happens, that's what I think of when I think of this tune. That's part of it. Those chords are part of almost the melody to my ear when I think about this tune. Let's listen to it again. I threw in the intro because it's got that super hip whole tone run in thirds. That's just for me. I just love that. Let's hear it one more time from the beginning. Ugh, you just wanted to keep going. You could listen to the whole thing, honestly, and we probably should, but we will later. Let's just touch on a little bit of what's going on here. Before we get into the breakdown, though, if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, let me know by hitting the like button. I definitely respond to what gets clicked, what gets viewed, by making more of it. So let me know if this is what you want to see more of. In the meantime, let's break it down just a little bit. So check it out here. So let's get out of our keyboard so we can see what's happening here. So check it out. So, and this is an approximation. These are the voicings that he hits on. He'll kind of like go in inversions in and out of these voicings, but let's just check out the basics of what's happening. We're in the key of B major, which, do not sleep on the key of B major. It is by far my favorite major key on the piano and on any instrument, but it's bright, but it's not super bright. Like it's happy, but there's a little bit of melancholy in the key of B. It's a perfect key for You Are the Sunshine of My Life. It's joyous, but it's not saccharine. There's a little bit of darkness to the key of B, and it just works really well. So let's check this out. He starts here with a B major 9. Now we just have a bass on B, and then you can hear him in the Rhodes. I mean, he starts the tune with just this B add 2. But by the time you get to the verse, you definitely hear that A sharp in there, right? Then, the very first chord, he hits this F sharp over E. Our first slash chord, right? This is like an F, it could be like an F sharp 7 with an E in the bass, but I think it's related to something else, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but I just want you to hear this. So he goes from here, and then our D sharp minor 7, literally it's just the bass is moving. Everything else stays the same. We still have C sharp, F sharp, and A sharp on that D sharp minor 7. So it goes from this E in the bass to that D sharp in the bass. Just beautiful. Then, what is happening here? F over G sharp. In my brain, I can't not think of this as F over A flat, so that's just me, but this is probably technically F over G sharp. You hear him too, on this chord especially, you'll hear him take this triad on top into inversion, stuff like, he does that quite a bit. Right, then C sharp minor 7. Now this is not a slash chord per se, but it kind of is in relation to what's going on. Look what's happened so far. Right, check that out. That F triad just goes down to an E triad. So we're just moving, we've moved this shape, F sharp, sorry, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, just down chromatically, right? Here in these. This is what makes this so cutting and so strong. And then from the C sharp minor 7, he keeps this E triad on top and changes the bass note to an F sharp. This could also be called like F sharp sus 11 for sure, or F sharp 7 sus, F sharp 11 sus, F sharp 13 sus if you wanted to add another note. But I actually really like this as E over F sharp. As a pianist, this tells me, okay, I need an E triad on top of an F sharp. That's what I need here. And you can hear it in the recording too. And then he's back to his B major 9, and then just a little turnaround here again with the C sharp 7, E over F sharp. So the whole thing sounds like this. And there's all sorts of juicy little Stevie Wonder things going on there that are just so much fun. I can't encourage you to listen to the recording enough. If you don't know this album, Talking Book, first of all, I envy you because you get to listen to it for the first time. Listen to the whole thing. It's just amazing. Like I said, I think it's one of the great works of art of the 20th century. It's just a complete masterpiece from like a 22-year-old Stevie Wonder, something like that. He was so young. Annoyingly young and brilliant, and just it's just a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. Okay, let's break down some of the specifics here, because I think some of these chords in that progression, you could, if you were going to take a safer, dare I say, a little bit more boring route, you could do something different with them. And I think looking at what they could have been in a more sort of standard way gives us a little interesting insight into how Stevie Wonder's thinking. He definitely latched onto that triad pattern, but it just shows you the freedom that he had, even at this early age, to follow his ears and use the music that was in his mind. So this first slash chord, right after the B major 7, he goes to this F sharp over E. This easily could have been, and I think our ear kind of wants to go to this too. I've heard jazz musicians interpret it as this E7 sharp 11, right? So it's kind of the same thing. I still have that F sharp major triad on top, but check it out. I've added the 7th and the 3rd of E7, right? I've got a D natural and a G sharp in there. So you can totally hear this, right? It doesn't sound terrible. It's not bad, quote unquote, but it's also not quite as clean. Remember, these are Stevie's clean slash chords. So the difference between this and this is just it's a conciseness, right? It's a cleanliness. It just has this shine to it when you take out all of those butter notes, as Herbie Hancock interpreted Miles Davis to say. If you take out all of those butter notes and you just leave this triad on top, you get something really sharp. You know, that's a lot clearer and a little bit less crunchy than this. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with this chord. It's a beautiful chord, but in this context, with this song, with what it's about, with the sounds he's getting on that Rhodes, with those voices, there's something about that our brains latch onto that. Again, this is what I think of when I think of this tune, and I think of these slash chords. Then later on, after we have our C sharp minor 7, right? Or sorry, our D sharp minor 7. Then we have that chord, the fourth chord of the progression, is this F over G sharp. Now, obviously, all we have to do here is on a G sharp add our dominant 7th, right? Our F sharp, and you get this G sharp 13 flat 9, or A flat 13 flat 9, depending on how you think about it. Like I said, it's really hard for me to think of this chord as anything but A flat. Even in the key of B, my tiny little Midwestern brain just has to think of it as A flat. So excuse me if I say that, but check it out. Here's the difference here between F over G sharp and a G sharp 13 flat 9. It's very subtle. It's just this note. But there is a difference. There's a difference between and that extra little interval, that tritone that's the 7th and 3rd of G sharp. It adds a little more crunch. It's not quite as clean. It's a little dirtier, which is, again, there's nothing wrong with it, but maybe that's just not what Stevie had in mind. It obviously wasn't. And he was right and made the interesting choice, even though it was a simpler choice. This takes a lot of courage, by the way, this chord progression. I know that seems weird, but it really does. He's kind of just using things that you normally wouldn't pick out, but he's following his ears in a way that I think really speaks of his genius. It's like he's not going to go with conventions just because there's conventions. He's really going to do the sounds he's hearing. Our third example of this happens here. And I'm going to take this one out a little bit. So our E over F sharp, right? This happens after our C sharp minor 7. And then there's an E over F sharp. This, again, easily could have been like an F sharp 9. Could have resolved it. Nothing wrong with that. But he doesn't. He just leaves this E triad hanging on here for a sus sound. Now, this was 1971, 72, I think. So it's not like this has never been done before, but this was still early on in the idea of a sus chord like this hanging over, especially in pop music. This was kind of the start of this when you think about it. This was the beginning of the era of these E over F sharp style sus chords making their way into pop hits, and You Are the Sunshine of My Life certainly helped propel that forward even more. I'm not saying it never happened before with Great American Songbook stuff. Of course it did, but this sound that we know of is very specific to this era. I think of it as like the beginning of the 70s pop, big bass drum, and also these sus chords that start leaking their way into pop music and jazz music more and more and more and more. So again, we have our differences here. Check it out. From this, it could have been this. Easily could have been this. From this, could have been this. Right? This easily could have been this. Let's check out the difference, maybe just by playing this. I think I've heard that in a brunch gig before, actually. Not to throw shade, but I think I have heard people play this in that style. And again, it's understandable. It's the conventional way to do it. It's very safe. But doing it like this, the way Stevie wrote it intentionally with those triads on top, is so much hipper. It's truer to the original, of course, but it is hipper. It's just really happening the way he's doing it. All right. Let's give this a bit of practice, huh? So if we check out here in B major, this is just a very simplified version. We can start, and this is in 2/4, by the way. This is a nice, he almost gives it a Brazilian vibe. It's close. So I'm going to put it in 2 as if this were Brazilian. So 2 beats per measure here. We can practice this, especially if you're not a piano player. Just play it here as written. We'll add rhythm a little bit later. But let's see if we can do this simply. And even if you're an advanced player, what's your rush? See if you can play these just perfectly. But let's get these in our hands. Play with me here. F over G sharp. 2 beats each. We're just going to loop this. Feels great. Back to the top. Practice here. Woo. Isn't that great? I just think it's so much more interesting than just dominant 7th chords with a sharp 11. Woo. This one, especially. Why wouldn't you put an F sharp in there? Stevie didn't. All right, let's try adding a little rhythm to this. You might put quarter notes in your left hand and just do a simple I'm inspired by my man Elio Alves last week giving a lesson to Peter Martin. Just a simple bossa nova rhythm here. Check that out. Quarter notes in your left hand. And this little clave in your right hand. so great. Isn't that great? I love Stevie. Okay, let's check this out here. Let's try a different key. You know I love taking this stuff to different keys. We'll go up a half step. The tune itself modulates up a half step at some point. We can just take these chords up here. Again, we're leaning on these triads, these slash chords, these super clean slash chords. F sharp over A, D minor 7, F over G, C major 7, F over G. Let's just play them as written at first here. Again, 2 beats each. Here we go. 1, 2. Just getting these in our hands in the key of C. So hip. Let's repeat. Try it again. I love them this high too, because you could use these as actual comping voices. You don't have to be deep in the mud. Try it again. Whew. All right, let's put our rhythm to it. Quarter notes in the left hand and our clave in the right hand. Different inversions on the F sharp over A. Go up that F sharp. Just like Stevie. Isn't that awesome? So going up like that, you hear Stevie do that all the time on that F sharp over A. Just those different inversions, right? Just taking that triad. He does it a few times throughout the recording. Let's do one more key of D flat. Let's check it out. Let's do, again, just as written here, 2 beats each. Let's see if we can get these in our hands. 2, 1, 2. Then we have our D flat major 9. That's our 1 chord. Then we have this great slash chord. Again, and these triads just move down. Or they stay put. Let's try going up some of these inversions. Maybe on the G over B flat. Do the Stevie thing right here. So much fun. Add quarter notes in your left hand. Start that pulse. Let's do it one more time. Half notes in the right, quarter notes in our left. So clean. Go up the inversion. Okay, let's add our clave in here. Bossa Nova pattern. Try not to rush. hit that G over B flat, I'm going up there. That's all I'm doing. And then sometimes on the turnaround, I'm doing what Stevie does after the first half chorus. Just a little thing over, surrounding this A flat, B flat, and D flat. Man, that feels so good. And then I'm just adding a bit of like a bossa nova feel, very simple feel I learned from my friend Elio Alves. He's got a great Brazilian piano course here at Open Studio PS. And that's kind of the most basic version of a bossa nova feel you can do on the piano. I think actually that basic version of a bossa nova feel, I think it feels great. Okay, what if we want to explore this in something that isn't quite You Are the Sunshine of My Life? What if we want to take these in a different direction? Maybe play it over a Great American Songbook standard. Maybe play it over Have You Met Miss Jones? Whole different key here. Let's check this out. So I'm going to use some of the same principles that Stevie used here on his verse on You Are the Sunshine of My Life. Those slash chords, right? Using those triads over bass notes in ways that get a much more cutting, angular, sharp is the adjective I keep thinking, because they feel very sharp. Like you can hear the corners of every chord. Does that make sense? You can hear the outside edges. So let's check it out here. We'll use our F major 7. This is the same shape Steve uses on the B major 7, right? This F major 7 here on Have You Met Miss Jones. And I'm doing some modified chord progression of it, just kind of get the basic feel of it, just so we can get these slash chords in. Let's check it out. So our 3, and instead of like an A flat diminished, which you might do, beautiful, but if you wanted to get that slash chord sound, right? B flat over A flat. So cool. You could actually solo with these. Totally solo with these. So let's check it out again. So F major 9, then our A minor 7, right, which is like a C major triad over this A, then a B flat triad over A flat, then our G minor 7, which again, it's just a B flat triad over G, right? Then our B flat over C, typical for the 5 chord, right? Almost like a C7 sus, but I actually like thinking about it like this. B flat over C in this particular scenario, because that really forces me to think like, oh, I'm just going to do B flat over C, which is the sound we want. Then our A minor 7, again, like a C triad over A. Then check it out. Instead of a D7 flat 9 like this, what if it was just B triad over D? So it was here to, that's the sound. Then our G minor 7, which is a B flat major triad over G, and our B flat major triad over C. And again. So cool. This is a different sound, but it's really, there's a lot we can get from this. So going to the second ending now. C minor 7, which is again an E flat triad over C. Then we keep that E flat triad to the E flat over F. That's like a sus chord on the 5. Right? Then B flat major, which is a D minor triad. These are all triads. A flat 7, and check it out. We can do our little. How cool is that? If you broke these up, these become, suddenly Chick Corea-esque lines. And we can kind of continue this pattern down. E minor 7, F sharp over A, to our D major 9, and back up. We can do our sus thing. A flat minor 7, C flat triad, major triad over D flat, to our G flat. And now we can go low. Let's get in the mud a little bit. G minor 7 to A over C. So instead of C, C7, flat 9, just a stack of thirds, we can do A over C and get that nice Stevie Wonder sound. That was a little harsh. But check it out here. So here's a perfect example. So when we come back here on the double bar on the last A, right? A common chord progression that you hear people play is like a 1, 4, 3, 6, 2. Beautiful stuff. We can do that in that very standard way. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we wanted to get that angular, edgy sound that Stevie gets, what if we did, instead of B flat 7 sharp 11, what if we did C over B flat? By the way, if you want to check out this in greater detail, if you have a hard time seeing this, we have the PDF here in the chat, in the description. You can download it here for free on YouTube. So check it out. Again, 1, and then instead of B flat 7 sharp 11, which has a C triad in it, we just did C over B flat. How great is that? Then A minor 7, which is a C over A, and then instead of D7 flat 9, woo, B over D, a B major triad over D, then our G minor 7, then our B flat over C, and then instead of a 3, 6, 2, 5, what if we did our 3, whoa, and then just a little turnaround here, F major 7, G flat over A flat, G minor 7, and then again our A over C, A major triad. Again, this could be, right, we could make this like a C7 flat 9, but just simplifying it, right? Being very simple and then very clean. Again, the whole point of this is to be clean. We get that. Okay. Let's try comping with this. Let's see what this sounds like. Just like this. We're just going to read it as is. Here's the first ending. Let's go back to the top. Play with me now. Second time through. Here's our A minor 7. Second ending. Just play it as written. We're just getting these in our hands. So easy. Let's go low here. How great is that? Let's do it again. Do it again. Keep going. I'll play a little bass for you. Second ending. Here's the bridge. B flat. How awesome are those? Ooh. Last day. Let's do one more. One more. I love this turnaround. Here we go. Bridge. Last day. Have fun with it. There we go. There it is, everybody. Isn't that fantastic? Stevie Wonder's clean slash chords. Man, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to live at the same time. as this amazing musician. We really are. And so we should absorb as much as what Stevie tries to teach us, I think, as possible. I think the lesson of this, I mean, it is the shape and the nerdiness of that music theory part. There's no denying the genius of that. But I think the overall lesson of this is how simple and sophisticated he made this very standard basic chord progression. Kind of out of nothing, he made it into this very edgy, clean sounding piece of work. I think it's just a great example of what he can do. And by the way, he does that with everything in different ways, in muddy ways, in funky ways, in soulful ways, in horrible ways, like in ways that just can tear you apart. He's one of a kind. So there's Stevie Wonder's clean slash chords. Thanks everybody for practicing today. Again, you can pick up the PDF there in the chat and the description. And then you can also like and subscribe if this is your kind of YouTube video. If you want to see more of these from me and from Open Studio, we can certainly do that. Just let us know. Thanks, y'all. That's really fun. Until next time, happy practicing. Later.